Okay, thank you. Alla's presentation actually provides a very good backdrop for the Orphans Aid Society and how it is we came about to how we were founded, for what purpose, and the kind of work that we do. The society was founded in 1992, about 17 years ago, soon after Ukraine gained its independence, by Mrs. Mary Jovic and a number of her friends who were community activists in the New York area, Flushing Meadows, Long Island. They were struck by the plight of orphans in Ukraine, the large number of street children that they encountered on trips to Ukraine, and the general institutional neglect of orphans. So they set up an organization that would reach out and try to engage the diaspora in providing assistance to this very hard-hit sector of Ukrainian society. The organization was established on the basis of volunteerism. Everyone working with the organization are volunteers. And the premise was pretty straightforward. Given the institutional neglect, given the terrible reputation that orphanages had in Ukraine as a result of that miserable history in the Soviet system, the desire of the society was to try to keep children outside of that system. Give them a chance in a family setting, in a family environment, to avoid becoming institutionalized and be stigmatized with everything that you've heard that goes along with being an orphan in an institution. The society grew from taking care of a few dozen children in the first couple of years to several hundred. At one point, we had over 1,000 children directly supported by the society. The organizational structure wasn't sufficient or adequate for that kind of network in Ukraine. So we had to reorganize. And around 2000, the charter of the society was updated, new bylaws established, a board of directors created, and we've been operating under that model ever since. We grew from a few core representatives in Ukraine to chapters in all of the oblasts, more than one chapter in some, so that we've got around 29 representative chapters in Ukraine. And the responsibility of those chapters is dual. First, to identify orphans that we would take into the society, process them in with the necessary paperwork, and then subsequently distribute the funds that we provide to help these orphans. In the course of the distribution, they actually visit with the orphans that we take care of, or that we don't take care of, that we support. They actually visit with them, visit their home environment to make sure that adequate care is being provided, that the funds are utilized in a proper way, and so that we have some assurance that the intentions of the society are being carried out. We have an oversight staff in Kyiv, the capital, to administer this regional network of volunteers, so that they serve as kind of a central point for communications, for fund collections and distributions. We meet with them annually. We hold an annual meeting in Kyiv where all the coordinators come in. They receive instructions. We find out how the organization is doing in the field, any problems that need to be tended to, any adjustments made. And they, at that point, receive the funds for distribution. We collect funds throughout the year from sponsors, but we only distribute twice a year, during the summer, trying to get the funds into them before the school year, which we do, and then a second time towards the end of the year around Christmas time in December, so that the support we provide is handed out in 2 tranches to the orphans. Now, basically the way we operate is that our representatives in the field track down orphans. They hear of families, they network through their friends or their children through school, find out who might be in need. Then we have an application that the family fills out. And although not all of our orphans are full kruhli sirote, most of them are indeed orphans as opposed to social orphans. I would guess at this point that probably about 1/3 of our orphans are social orphans, meaning that there is a parent or both parents are still alive but have either abandoned the child to a grandparent or some relative, or have been divorced and there are financial difficulties in the family. Probably around 2/3 really are orphans as we would understand it, either with both parents deceased or one parent gone. Invariably, the guardian is a grandparent or an aunt, someone that might have other children in the household as well. And the intention is for us to provide financial assistance, direct financial assistance, so that that guardian can maintain a home environment for the child. Again, underscoring, we're trying to keep them out of orphanages. It may not be the ideal environment in many cases, but it's better than the institutional environment if for no other reason. They're not stigmatized with having been in an orphanage. We have certain requirements once an orphan gets accepted, and part of the acceptance in the review process is we require the use of the Ukrainian language in the home. There are some guardians who have refused to abide by that and basically not been brought into the system. So the intention here is to try to promote a constructive lifestyle, a positive lifestyle with the right kinds of influences. So they must attend school. The completion rate of school in our orphans, and we've handled about 2,000 in the course of the last 17 years. Completion rate is very, very high. So, you know, there's some measure of success there. We encourage a religious environment, whatever religion that might be, but we do discuss that with the guardians to make sure that they bring them up in a moral environment. Smoking and drug use, alcoholism are discouraged, and the coordinators, when they visit the homes, discuss that with the guardians and try to assess whether or not those standards are lived up to. So again, the intention here is it's not just to provide financial assistance, but we try to ensure that the environment for those kids is a positive, constructive one. The children are required to write letters to their orphans so that when the coordinators visit them with the funds for distribution, they're asked to write a letter, either ahead of time or on the spot. I've been supporting orphans myself since 1993. We've had 3 orphans, and they're second generation already. So we've been through around 6 orphans, my wife and I. And I can tell from the handwriting, 6-year-olds aren't writing to me, and some of the 9- and 10-year-olds aren't writing to me. But some of the 9-year-olds, as the ones I have today, do write. You can tell from the handwriting, the expression that you're getting letters from a child. In many instances, the guardian will write a letter acknowledging receipt of the money, giving us an update on the child's interests, how they're doing in school, if they're finishing school, what their vocational interests might be, kind of job prospects they have. So when we recruit a sponsor for an orphan, we kind of let them know that this is a long-term commitment. Some of our financial supporters basically provide donations, and we use the donations to cover our administrative expenses.